Look, me kitty.
The Moral Misanthrope.
So thank you for joining me for another episode of the Patreon Fragrance Review.
Fragrance Review.
Designer fragrances, so sexy. Niche fragrances, so sensual. Eau de parfum, longevity, projection.
Today, our fragrance comes requested from Esteban Montero, and this is a fragrance I'm a little bit excited about because I know nothing about this particular house. This fragrance comes from the house of DIR. I'm assuming that I'm pronouncing that correctly. I have no idea, but the fragrance is called Diabolos Live, and we're gonna jump into this fragrance today. I'm gonna tell you a little bit about the notes and give you my overall opinion on it. We're gonna get into that right after this.
Here at the Black Heart Institute of Misanthrope and Medicine, we are dedicated to enhancing the lives of YouTube viewers all over the world through extensive medical research and using the latest advances in technology. You see, our facility specializes in neurology and neuroscience, with our primary focus being on changing the way you experience reaction videos. We recently conducted a study on one test subject for nearly 2 hours, exposing the subject to several videos from the Moral Misanthrope. We encourage the subject to subscribe to the channel if they enjoyed what they were seeing, and they did. The results were astounding. Not only did the subject start vaping, but they unlocked a small percentage of their brain's potential that would otherwise remain unused. Now, granted, that part of the brain is filled with nothing but overwhelming sadness and existential dread. But it's all about the experience, really, and how we grow from life's challenges. So subscribe to Moral Misanthrope today and wallow in the experience.
So this is a very interesting fragrance. It has a nice bottle. The presentation is marvelous. I like the gradient fade on the bottle. I don't know if you can see that. There's like a gradient fade. It looks very nice. It looks very high end. It's like a flagship cologne for sure. Let's give it a little test. See what this bad boy is doing. Sprayer's pretty solid.
Ooh.
Oh, that's nice. It has a very Japanese kind of vibe to it. It's definitely not a summer fragrance by any means. I would hardly even call it a daytime fragrance. It's a winter, more night, intimate kind of fragrance. I would wear this on a date. If I had a date. I haven't had a date in so long.
I'm so lonely.
But yeah, I would definitely recommend this. I believe you can purchase this on sites like fragrancenet.com or any of those discount fragrance websites. Or you can be an idiot like me and go pay way too much at a store like Ulta or Sephora or something like that, or any store in the mall.
What is my wife?
So yeah, all jokes aside, this is the Patreon request series, and again, this particular video was requested by Esteban Montero, and this is a band that I know absolutely nothing about. I had not even heard of them at all until I got this request. Like, I could not tell you anything about them other than the fact that they're Japanese. That is the only thing I know. I've done no research. I've just kept this completely like I'm going in with zero expectations. I don't know what genre they are. I'm assuming, this is my only assumption, is that there's some kind of metal, because that seems to be the ongoing theme of this channel, which is okay because I'm a metalhead, so that, you know, it makes sense. But yeah, so I'm excited about this. You know, as long as it doesn't end up being like some like K-pop or something. I need to react to some K-pop, you know.
For the views.
Okay, so without any further ado, we're gonna jump right into this and see what this band has to offer. Here we go. I like that really metallic, abrasive synth noise. Okay, so I promised to keep it 100% real with you guys as far as my opinions and like things of that nature go. So, I really like the stage setup from what I can see. I can't see very much, but this whole, like the curtain, the circular curtain, with the light in it, you know, and everything's kind of dark. I like that. It kind of gives me a perfect circle kind of vibe, if that makes sense. All right, but so far the vocal, it reminds me of like some cheesy anime music vocals. Sorry, but that's where I'm at with that right now. Let's continue. Okay, so before the vocals kick back in right there, that whole little section right there, and then like into that little clean part. Let's go back. Let's go back. Show you what I'm talking about right here. It's funny now because I'm seeing something. The curtain, how I said it kind of gave me a perfect circle kind of vibe. That whole section right there sounded like it was heavily inspired by Tool. I mean, the drums, that riff, just that the notes in that clean part, the way it transitioned, it sounded like Tool. I like it. I mean, if Tool is an inspiration to them, that's awesome. Because I like that section. Again, I can't say a whole lot of good things about the vocals, but I can't really say anything good about the vocals. But again, maybe it's one of those things where, like, if I knew the lyrics, maybe I could appreciate it more. Because sometimes, a vocalist may not really deliver, something that is pleasing to my ear, but like there's some kind of meaning or, emotional depth to the song that makes it resonate a little more with me, if that makes sense. Because, I mean, hell, the very first time I ever heard Ginger, I wasn't, a fan, and I love Ginger now. But then again, I only listened to, like maybe 15 seconds of them the first time, and, I was kind of a metal elitist at that point. It was only black metal, that's it. But, no, I'm on board with this. We'll see where it goes. Fucking almost 10 minutes long. Oh, he's got a 7-string. Cool. Okay, so far that I really liked that section a lot. Like that when it first came in, that pattern switch up, like the pattern they went into, it's kind of a abrupt change, but it worked. And I liked that drum pattern, or it's kind of like it's almost on the offbeat, and then the soloing, it was relatively simple. Like there wasn't really a lot going on with that guitar solo, but it didn't need to be. And I liked the harmonies and the particular melody, and just everything about that whole section was really good. I don't know what else to say about it. We're gonna keep going. This is like a Pisces moment. It's like you hear, and then you hear, like, That's crazy. You know, that was cool though. I did not see that one coming. I'm feeling it even more now. Like, at least I know that he is capable of doing something a little more aggressive. You know, that was some straight death metal right there. But right before that, just right before that transition into this section, the chording, the atmosphere, everything about it, musically, was very in the vein of black metal for sure. And I like that, but it's like it went into like a black metal vibe for a second, and then came in with like death metal style vocals. You know, I can't even combine the two and say like black and death, because it doesn't really sound like that. But I'll show you what I mean right here. Okay, so that was cool. I mean, that was just some straight up full on death metal. Right before it kicked into the, it was more upbeat, kind of just straightforward death metal. There was a section between that and the part that I pointed out last time. The cadence there that he was using, it had a very kind of black metal-esque cadence to it. The cadence kind of, I can't specifically point out who it reminded me of, but it sounded very familiar as this riff, which is why I'm pausing here. This particular riff sounds very, very familiar. It almost sounds saturated, as in like it's familiar from multiple places and multiple bands. Of course it may have some slight variations, but it is a very almost generic riff. And I'm not saying that to criticize or be insulting, because it works in the song, but it doesn't feel very original. But it's well placed. It's executed nicely. I'm okay with it. Yeah, I'm gonna back up again for a second. Right, that, okay. Right here. Right here. Okay, so that quick trim-picked descend that he did, and then between him and the other musicians when they did that, or the other members, whatever, when they did that bend, and it wasn't harmonized. I mean, it sounded like they were all playing completely different notes that do not like fall into the same scale or harmony or anything of that nature. It sounded very discordant, It was a very like uncomfortable kind of bend, but I guess with something like this that that works. So that was cool. But that the transition into it just kind of, it's like it fell off. Not in a negative way. I'm just saying it's like you're running and then it's like you're running through the forest and suddenly you stop and realize you're at a cliff and you're just looking down and like your whole life is just flashing in front of your eyes and you're suddenly filled with overwhelming sadness because you're like, well, I could either go back through the forest to whatever's chasing me or I could just jump off this cliff. Okay, two things. You're like, why are you pausing again, Damien? Okay, this is, trust me. Or don't. Okay, so, right here, I don't know why I didn't point this out before, but I love the fact that the drums are so, like, elevated and off to the side. Because generally at a show, you've got the drum, they may be on a riser, but you've always got the drummer back center, and they just never get the visual representation that most of the time they deserve. I like this, that the drummer kind of has a little bit of spotlight on him. I mean, not literal spotlight because there's hardly any light going on, but he can be seen, is what I'm saying. So I like that. And then is this a band member or a fucking mannequin? Hold on. Right there, in the middle of the stage, doing nothing with the hood. I can't tell if that is just a person or if that's a mannequin, but it doesn't look like they're playing anything or doing anything or moving. That's just weird. I don't know. Maybe someone has some insight and can tell me. I don't know. Don't say it. So the vocals right there, and I'm trying not to be too critical or harp on the guy too much. He's obviously really into this, but it kind of sounds like if you had like an old dog, like, you let it outside to go to the bathroom and then you kind of forget that you let the dog out, and you hear him scratching at the back door, and he's like kind of howling to get in, but he's like old. He's like an old dog, like just kind of trying to make some noise to get you to let him back in the house. That's kind of what it sounds like a little bit. But I mean, those high-end screams that he was doing and the growls, that's on point. He sounds really good with that stuff. I'm just not a fan of the clean, and it is what it is. That's cool.
火つけた俺が笑いながら死んでいただけ。日々淡々と海に膨らむ。 滅んでもこの時代もさあ人間をやめろ
There's a weird feeling. Sounds like Danny Filth having a stroke. Talk about sporadic time signatures. I love red drenches like that. Those moments of just solid red everything during a performance. Okay, that whole section right there with the high end trim picking and just that particular note progression is everything the band had going on musically right there. I mean, even that vocal to some extent, that was very like depressive, suicidal black metal. I mean, that sounded like, that's exactly what that sounded like. I mean, listen to pretty much, go listen to Thy Light, and you'll see what I mean. Or Forgotten Tomb. Let's continue. God, that smells so good. Okay, so all in all, that was a great performance. That was I like that band. Again, I can't get into those clean, like, high vocals. There's just something about his voice that doesn't sit well with me. But even the, like, really screechy screaming, like, I kind of like that. I know I made the Danny Filth comment. But, you know, it was to me, it was funny. It wasn't bad, it was just funny. But his low growls, they were good. And the rest of the band, of course, it's insane. I liked the way the guitarists, the bass, the drums, everything worked together. You know, I love all the changes, the transitions, the patterns. The time signatures, just everything. There was a lot of just offset, like cacophonous kind of sounds going on, like multiple genres, like just intertwining, which was really cool. I like that on a musicianship kind of level. So all in all, I will check out more from them. I will try to check out more from them. I'm going to go back and read the lyrics to that song at some point, maybe. But yeah, that was a good video, and there's more stuff coming, more Patreon request videos coming soon. So if you're new to the channel, and that was something that you were like, oh wow, this guy's all right, then hit the subscribe button and become part of the Moral Militia. And if you'd like to support me on the Patreon, you can do that. There's a link in the description below. I won't be mad. I can't hate on that. So until I upload again, good people of the interweb.